I discovered my wife's adventure when I got home early. Update 4, friend of my wife. Just a quick update. I was surprised by a visit from one of my wife's girlfriends. She is about the same age as Jane. Her name is Carol and was with my wife last week on the girls' night. In fact, the girls' night was at Carol's house. If you read my comments you would know that last week Jane came home very drunk. She used a ride share. Carol is an old friend of my wife. I guess being married for over 2 decades, wife has forgotten I introduced her to Carol. Carol's parents were friends of my parents. Well, I guess my unpredictability has contributed to wife being unstable. And last week's girls' night Jane reached a breaking point. It took so much that he confided in Carol about his adventure. Apparently, she just kept talking, even after Carol told her to stop. Carol got so angry at her. As Carol kept condemning Jane, Jane just kept trying to defend her actions while continuing to lay out an endless stream of details. The next day Carol reached out to Jane. Jane apparently did not remember anything from the night before. Carol summarized Jane's confession. Well, Jane completely denied that she is having an affair, that she did not say those things, and that Carol is mistaken. Carol told Jane that she is full of lies and that she has a week to come clean or she will tell me herself. And since Jane continues to deny that she said anything I got my visit with Carol. So over coffee, I got the abbreviated accounting of Jane's confession. Carol was expecting me to be devastated. I surprised her when I told her I already knew. I asked her who else was around when Jane did this confession. Carol was the only one else in the house. I asked Carol who else she has told. That offended her. She told me that she would not spread something like that before telling me. I apologized. I explained to her that I had my own timeline for wanting to deal with Jane. And adding others would complicate my plans. And I had to ask. Carol was understanding. I asked her, as a favor to me, not to mention it to anyone and allow Jane to think she believed her. Carol agreed with my first request but said the second part doesn't feel right. I asked her to try. I told her I would be okay. Carol said that anything else I need, all I have to do is ask. I know that I will have to make another apology when Carol finds out about my health. But I will deal with that another day. So I am going to confront Jane tomorrow. We have a regular date night, and I plan on calmly telling her what I know, my condition, and how I am going to spend the rest of my life without her. I hope the public setting will keep the drama to a minimum. Going as planned or a total disaster, I will update sometime this weekend. My plan is after the confrontation, to give her what I know, asking her to not contact me or my family. We will see how it goes. TLDR, Jane confessed to a friend and now I need to confront her tomorrow. ETA, I am placing 2 posts in my profile. One is for you to make comments to be read by my family. The other is for comments to be given to Jane. I am not going to read your comments on those 2 posts. But if you all need to vent, go ahead. Once again, you are an inspiration, my anonymous friend. I've been following this very closely. I went through my second divorce last year. Both my ex-wives cheated on me, so I know that pain all too well. Although I don't have the terminal diagnosis you do, I watched my best friend die from his terminal diagnosis just before divorce number 1. Literally. So I have some limited idea. You're handling this far better than nearly anybody in your situation would, and once again I applaud you. One comment on this post to consider. Please give Carol a heads up that you're confronting Jane. It's highly likely that despite what you tell her, she's going to blame Carol. Just help Carol be ready for that next conversation with Jane. 2 more things. 1, please DM me if you want to talk. 2, as part of your Reddit legacy, would you consider writing us a post, both here and on your profile page, that passes on how you grew into the person that was able to handle this with such grace and peace and wisdom? OP. I will think about the post about how I grew into who I am. The short answers, I made all of the mistakes. I just learned to look at myself from the view of others and that taught me so much of who I was at the time and who I wanted to be. Update 5, Confrontation and Aftermath. Mike Tyson said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." Yes, every plan does not go exactly as you vision. Mine is not exempt from this reality. I will take a moment to set the table of my plan for you. Jane and I have a weekly date night and we generally use the same restaurant. So much so we have a regular table. It is in the back, still public but away from the high energy near the bar. I decided that this would be the place I confront her. I planned to do it after the end of dessert. I got my lawyer and his wife's reservations at the same time. I gave our server the payment for both of our party's meals before we began. She has been our server for years. I had Carol on call to help Jane after I leave. My plan was to end the meal with a conversation about our relationship. I wanted to record it. Then I would confront her, tell her about how I know, my diagnosis, and the plan for what I want, and give her a letter asking her to not contact me or my family or come to the farm. I would have the letter witnessed. I would also leave her a briefcase full of evidence along with the divorce papers. Then get up and walk away. I expected her not to make a scene to protect her social status. I did record the conversation. She gushed about how great our relationship has been over the years. She talked about how great we are as a team. I asked her if I treat her right, have ever abused her, etc. She said of course not. Then I asked her why did she cheat on me. She stated that she does not know what Carol told me but that it is she is wrong. I told her I had already known before Carol told me. At that point everything I think Jane had prepared to counter this conversation left and so did the color on her face. All she could do is ask, "What?" I then told her to let me get through this without interruption and she shook her head in agreement. She went from a confident and prideful woman to a woman with the deer in the headlights look. All she could do is nod. I then explained how I came home after my meeting with my doctor. I was rushing home to have the most difficult conversation with the one person I wanted to talk to. I explained that when I drove up I saw his car. I then checked the cameras and saw they were in privacy mode. I decided then to go to the farm. I told her that I still had footage, and she almost interrupted to ask how, but I just put up my hand to remind her to let me finish. I told her about my diagnosis and plans not to fight the disease. I saw the heartbreak in her eyes, and I got angry. How can she feel sorrow for me? But I moved forward. I then signaled the waitress and she went over and got my lawyer. They both came to our table. My lawyer handed me a briefcase and a folder with a letter. I told her that I don't want her to contact me or my family or come to the farm after I left tonight. I signed the letter and asked the server to witness it. The server and lawyer then watched me give the letter to Jane. I then dismissed them. I then concluded by giving the briefcase to Jane. I told her I know much more than she expects. I was totally destroyed. That there are divorce papers in there already signed by me, and she can sign them and start the divorce proceedings. I told her I don't expect to survive a contested divorce. That as long as I am alive she can stay at the home in town. I will be at the farm. I will not see her after tonight. I don't want to hear any excuses. I have called Carol to help her home. In true fashion, Jane kept her composure in public. She just uttered a quick, "But," I just reminded her I am leaving and I am done. I went to the server and gave her a generous tip, found the owner, and apologized for not giving him a heads up. As I am leaving I see my son at the door with Carol. Carol passes me with a quick smile then a concern in her eyes for Jane. My son grabs my truck and his wife drives me to the farm. My son and his wife stayed with me Friday night. I finally got them to go home at midnight. I went to sleep with a great sense of relief, but with a renewed feeling of loss. But I was able to accomplish the task I needed to do. The family came to the farm on Saturday to make sure I was okay. I felt a bit coddled but it was a good day until Carol came by in the afternoon. She said that Jane fell apart Friday night, but I guess contacted her lover on Saturday. After the conversation, Jane realized she was just being used by the lover and was really in a bad state. Carol made sure to tell me that Jane did not ask her to reach out to me. But she feels that if I could talk with Jane for a bit, then it could give Jane the strength to keep her out of my life. Carol knows how to frame her requests. I reluctantly agreed to a 2-hour discussion at the farm with Jane. I would have someone there for me and Jane could choose someone to be there for her. We will have a civil conversation. I will not accept being blamed, minimization, or blame shifting. The purpose of the meeting will be for her to get answers for how to move forward. That meeting happened this morning. Jane picked Carol, I don't know why, maybe damage control, and I chose my daughter. I wanted it to be as comfortable for Jane just so we don't have to repeat this again. I entered the meeting with a steadfast direction and goal of having Jane out of my life. The meeting was as expected. Jane cried, apologized, and tried to minimize the affair. I was not having any of it. I laid out that she will have a place to live until my death. Then the house decision will be on the trustees. I explained that she will not see anything from my estate or from the trust. But she has her 6-figure pension and her trust, so she will be just fine. I have to rant about something, she said. Why won't you fight for me or us? I almost broke loose my temper at her, but I just responded with, I just don't care about you or us anymore. That kinda destroyed her. Here I am going to express my anger. This is the mind of a selfish cheater. All they think about is themselves. That even after destroying someone, they expect to have enough value in that person's eyes to fight for. To the cucumber, I was not worth fighting for me against his desires or his greed. Fare thee well, sorry for the rant. Jane gets the answers she asked for, but in hindsight did not want them. I don't want another meeting. I feel continuing the meetings just distracts me from what I want to do. Carol and Jane leave, but Carol comes back a couple of hours later. She and I have a quick talk. Apparently Lover had received notice from the trustees that they are going to convert the loan into shares of his company. And since the trust will be the majority owner, they are asking for a full forensic audit. My daughter with the MBA is not wasting any time. Well, I guess when Jane went to him for comfort she realized what I already expected. He was using her to see if she could buy the loan from me. There were offhanded comments in the recordings that I suspected he was up to something. Well, with the paperwork filed, Lover knowing I sold the loan to the trust, and Jane no longer in my life, her usefulness to him is gone, and he let her know. Apparently, Jane also confided in Carol that her trust is exhausted. She will only have the income from her pension. She saw life with Lover to be more glamorous than with me. She truly thinks his net worth is more than mine. He drives nice cars, eats in fancy restaurants, flies us first class, while my husband played on his farm, drove an old truck, and we flew in economy class. That she was planning on divorcing me when he expressed his undying love and desire to marry her. It disgusts me that she is this greedy and shallow. I won't see it, but I expect my family will tell her how much I was worth after my death. I am so glad that her true colors were shown now so I could deal with her and spare my family from her. Then Carol did something that was totally unexpected and threw me off guard. She told me that since I am no longer encumbered, if I need companionship, to give her a call. I challenged her and asked why, with my diagnosis, why would you or any woman want to spend time with me? There is nothing long-term. She responded that just because Jane is an ignorant and did not know what she had, does not mean any divorcee or widow would not line up to spend what time I have left with me. That I am a hell of a man and any time with me would be cherished. And I would have quite a few lady callers lining up, and she might as well be first in line. I asked her, but most won't know Jane and I are separated. She said Jane does not want the social groups to know, but that she and Sarah will make sure her story is out. I was polite and told her I would let her know. She smiled and gave me a kiss on the cheek. I thought about it after she left, but I am pretty sure I do not want that complication in my life right now. I have left quite a bit out, but that is the highlights. I am doing okay. It has been a roller coaster. I need a few days of peace and quiet. The social groups will know soon. Both the breakup of my marriage and also my diagnosis. I will now have an endless stream of people wishing me well. I knew I could not delay it forever, but I don't want to be treated differently. However, life is what it is. Time to start dinner and relax this evening. Again, thank you all for all of your support. I will try to go back and respond to all of your messages. They mean so much to me. TLDR, I confronted Jane and the aftermath. I was waiting for thin update all day. I'm so invested that I feel such a relief when you confronted Jane. My blood boiled when she asked you why you don't fight for her and the relationship. After all she did. I'm glad that the lover played her and that everyone in the family knows. FYI, your daughter is the MVP for doing what she's doing. LOL, I also love that she wasted her trust. Nice, what a dummy. LOL, and Carol is a mess. I mean, she's not wrong. You look like a dumb guy, but Carol, give OP a day at least. Also, I love that she will let the social group know. I don't know if you will continue to update, I hope you do, but if you don't, I hope that the rest of your days are filled with peace and the love of your family. OP, thanks for the support. I have to admit, Carol took me by surprise. She said she wanted to be first in line. I guess she believes that fortune favors the bold. I am sure there will be more drama that I need to vent and gain support for. Thanks. Update 6, Random Things. First, I am doing okay. I am still above ground and above room temperature. Every day on my feet is a blessing. My coughing is a bit worse. I am experiencing some discomfort. I notice I am getting winded a bit easier. Overall, though, a great week. Let's start with Jane. She has gone to ground. Her status in the community has crashed hard and swiftly. Once it was out, she was, politely, asked to resign from any of her leadership roles. Most of her circle has judged her harshly and has come right out and asked her if she chased their husbands. She has tried to reach out a few times. I have not responded. A couple was through proxies. I just asked the person to tell her I have said what I needed to say and I know all I need to know. I really don't care if she needs closure. Why do I need to worry about her selfish need for that? She knows how I feel because I told her. Some of the details of the affair. They have been going on for at least 6 months. They took 3 trips together. One of which they played the newlyweds. Another was a couple celebrating a 20-year wedding anniversary, and the last that they met on vacation staying at the same hotel. I guess role-playing was a bit of their dynamic. She used my house because she was comfortable there, but also the house is set back from the road and passers-by cannot see the cars in the drive. She also bought herself a second car and stored it in town in a parking garage. She apparently swapped cars when she went to lover's house so no one would recognize her car. She was very concerned about how this would be viewed by anyone in her social circle. Maybe so I would not catch her. Her actions alone show how much effort she went to for the affair with the lover. All of these efforts alone solidify in my mind how I am feeling and how I dealt with the affair. I have no regrets about what I have done. The drunken confession to Carol was only partly due to my unpredictability. Apparently, as soon as the notice of my sale of lover's loan to the trust was received, he started to distance himself from Jane. I guess from the pressure of almost getting caught and lover starting to not be as interested in her, she got drunk and let it all out to Carol. You know what happens after that. It is pretty clear to me that lover had alternative motives for his participation in the affair. This does not excuse Jane in one small bit. It just makes Jane more pathetic. It seems that lover wanted Jane's help on her loan with me and Jane wanted the showgirl life with lover's money. It is interesting how ugly people attract each other. If all of us decent people just allow the despicable to pair up together, we can find better partners. Sorry to all of those out of a sense of devotion you work on reconciliation. It was not for me. Lover is not happy about the intentions of my daughter. It appears he will be trying to stop it in court. All he has to lose is more money. I have heard rumors that he has tried to raise money from other investors to pay off this loan. But unfortunately for him, the news of his actions has already started to circle around my business acquaintances. Remember when I said you invest in persons, not companies? Well, there are not many who want to invest in him. I don't know what my daughter has planned for his company, but it employs quite a few people, so she will work hard to make sure it continues just for them. I think she is worried lover has something to hide in the company's books. For the employees, I hope it is not anything that cannot be corrected. Family time has been great. I went to a high school basketball game with the family this week. I also scheduled a poker night. That was great. I had some old friends, my son, and my grandson at the game. The grandson got to see how old school men sat around telling tales and just enjoyed a night together. I hope to get a few more of these in. We have eaten as a family 3 times this week. Carol did come over one night and brought dinner. We ate and talked, but I kept her at arm's length. I am still not comfortable letting her in. Chores on the farm comfort me. I walk the fences, drive at times, check on the animals, check on the employees, and help with equipment maintenance. Knowing that this farm will stay in the family and continue to run fills me with peace. A part of me lives beyond my time here. I have also had a number of friends and acceptances stopping by. Someone mentioned a living wake, and I think this is what they meant. I am encouraging anyone to come out and see me. I like spending time with these folks, even if it might be the last time. Thank you for suggesting that. Thank you all for your support. It really does help. TLDR, I am still here and overall had a good week. Jane and Lover are feeling the exposure of their actions. Thank you for the update, and I hope you can stay comfortable. OP, thank you. She bought herself a second car. How could she spend that much money and go undetected? That's some seriously clandestine stuff. There's no way she can claim it was just an impulsive fling. As for Lover, I hope some forensic accounting will reveal his misdeeds. My money is on him mysteriously disappearing to avoid prosecution. Wishing you the best, OP. Remember, she has her own trust and she demanded at the beginning of our marriage that we keep our finances separate. But yes, she was very calculating. And these small details are also known by the gossip queens in her social group. I haven't commented but have been following the whole time. You seem to have found a peace, and I am so happy for you to have this time on your farm, with your family, and having peace in knowing everything is taken care of. I hope that peace continues for you despite the situation Jane caused for you. Thank you for the update. I'm sorry this deceit and betrayal are touching you and your family and friends in what should be the time of your life that you should get to be surrounded by only love, support, memories, and shared fondness of your life together, and of the future you helped create for your generations to come. And it's sad that such a sack of SHXT is still lurking to even have the audacity to pop her head up now and again. I think your children will be quite angry for some time to come, as this revelation will be tied in with what will eventually be the loss of someone of most importance in life to them. But I hope the pound of flesh they're getting now, and what personality traits they get from you, allow them, in the future, to give her what she deserves, both emoji 0 nally and physically, nothing.